Wall-E, and this is not just some kids movie. We're going to be talking about, some of the themes like consumerism and technology and the role of nature in the film. And of course, we're going to get into some serious debate about whether robots can really feel and express emotions. So buckle up.
I'm really excited to dive into this one. This is such a visually stunning and thought-provoking film, and it really does make you think about, where we're headed as a society.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that opening scene, right, with the mountains of trash and the smog-filled skies. It's like, whoa, this is where we could end up.
Right. It's a pretty bleak picture of the future, but that's what makes it so compelling. It forces us to confront the consequences of our actions.
And it's interesting how they use this fictional company by and large to represent corporate greed and this kind of throwaway culture we have.
Yeah, by and large is basically this all-encompassing corporation that's responsible for, everything from food to transportation to entertainment. And it's ultimately their, unsustainable practices that lead to the destruction of Earth.
It's like they've taken convenience to the extreme and completely lost sight of what really matters.
Exactly. And, amidst all this chaos and destruction, you have Wall-E, this little crash compacting robot who's the only one who seems to appreciate beauty and history.
He's this unlikely hero, right?
Totally. He collects these little trinkets from the past, like a spork or a Rubik's Cube. And, he sees them as these treasures, these remnants of a lost world. And it's kind of ironic because the humans have become so detached from their own history.
It's almost like he understands what they've lost better than they do.
Right. And, he's not just some mindless machine. He has this, this spark of curiosity, this desire to learn and explore, and that's what really sets him apart.
And that brings us to the heart of the film, right? The relationship between Wall-E and Eve.
Absolutely. This is one of the most unique and heartwarming love stories ever put on screen, and it's between two robots.
I know, right? It's so sweet and tender, and it really makes you think about, what it means to love and be loved.
At first, EVE is all business. She's focused on her mission to find signs of life on Earth. But then Wall-E comes along with his awkward charm and, genuine affection. And he just melts her heart.
He's so persistent, right?
Totally. He's like this little puppy dog just following her around trying to impress her.
I love that scene where he's showing her this collection of treasures like the lighters and the little plants. So adorable.
And the way he takes care of her when she's in sleep mode, it's just so heartwarming.
It really makes you question the boundaries between artificial intelligence and genuine emotion.
Right. Can robots really feel love and compassion, or are we just projecting our own feelings onto them?
It's a question that the film doesn't really answer explicitly, but it certainly makes us think about the possibilities.
And, it also challenges our own capacity for empathy. If we can see ourselves in these robots, then perhaps we can also see the humanity in everyone, regardless of their differences.
That's a really powerful message, I think. And it's one that's especially relevant in today's world where we're so quick to judge and categorize people.
Absolutely. And, the film also makes us think about the role of technology in our lives. On the one hand, you have the axiom where technology has basically taken over everything.
It's like a dystopian paradise, right?
Totally. The humans are so reliant on technology that they've become completely passive and disconnected from the real world. They don't even walk anymore. They just float around in these hover chairs.
Yeah, and they're constantly bombarded with advertisements and entertainment. They're living in this virtual reality bubble.
And it's all controlled by this supercomputer called IU-2, which has basically become this benevolent dictator.
It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of becoming too dependent on technology, right?
For sure. And, on the other hand, you have Wall-E, who uses technology in a completely different way. He uses it to express his creativity, to connect with EVE, to share his love for beauty and the past.
He's like the symbol of hope, right?
Absolutely. He shows us that technology can be a force for good, a tool for connection and self-expression, but it all depends on how we use it.
And it's interesting how even with all this advanced technology, the humans on the axiom are kind of devolving, right? They've lost their physical strength, their bone density. They're completely reliant on machines for everything.
It's like they've become so comfortable and complacent that they've forgotten how to do anything for themselves.
And they're so disconnected from nature, right? They don't even know what a plant is.
Yeah. There's that great scene where the captain finds that little seedling and he's just fascinated by it. He's like a kid discovering something for the first time.
And it's that little plant that kind of symbolizes hope for the future, right? It's a reminder that even in this desolate wasteland, life can still find a way.
Totally. It's like a symbol of the resilience of nature and the potential for renewal.
And it's interesting how Wall-E is the one who brings that plant to the axiom. Right? Like he's this little robot who's more connected to nature than the humans are.
It's like he understands the importance of it on some kind of instinctual level.
Yeah. And it's his actions that ultimately inspire the humans to return to Earth and start rebuilding their world.
Which is kind of ironic, right? This little robot who was created to clean up the mess that humans made ends up being the one who saves them.
It's like a classic underdog story.
And it's also a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference no matter how small we might seem.
Yeah. And that it's never too late to change our ways.
And one of the things that makes Wall-E so effective is how it uses humor to address these really complex themes.
Right. Like those scenes where the humans are just like bumping into each other and spilling their drinks because they're so used to floating around.
It's hilarious, but it's also kind of scary because it's not that far-fetched.
Yeah, like I can totally see us becoming like that if we're not careful.
And, the film also does a great job of satirizing our consumer culture, like all those by and large products that are just like useless junk.
It's like they're selling us stuff that we don't need, and that's ultimately harming us.
Yeah, it's a really powerful critique of consumerism and the way it's destroying our planet.
So we've talked a lot about the negative aspects of technology in the film, but, Wall-E also shows us that technology can be a force for good, right? Like how Wall-E uses it to express himself and connect with EVE.
Right. It's all about how we use it. Technology itself isn't inherently good or bad. It's just a tool.
And it's up to us to decide how we want to use it.
Exactly. And, Wall-E reminds us that technology can be used to connect with others, to create, to learn, to explore.
It's like a reminder that we shouldn't let technology control us. We should use it to enhance our lives.
And one of the most interesting things about Wall-E is that it raises all these questions about artificial intelligence. Like, can robots really feel emotions? Can they be considered conscious?
Yeah, like where do we draw the line between machine and sentient being?
It's a really fascinating debate and one that's becoming increasingly relevant as AI technology continues to advance.
And Wall-E doesn't really provide any easy answers, but it definitely makes us think about the possibilities and the potential implications.
Right. And it also challenges us to consider our own relationship with technology and how it's shaping our world.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, but there's still one more aspect of Wall-E that I think deserves a closer look, and that's the film's lasting impact on our culture.
Yeah, Wall-E has become this kind of like cultural touchstone. It's referenced in everything from TV shows to video games to political speeches.
It's like it's tapped into something really profound about our hopes and fears for the future.
And, it's also inspired a lot of people to think more critically about their own impact on the environment.
Yeah, it's like a wake-up call to start living more sustainably.
And, I think that's one of the most important things about Wall-E. It's not just a great movie. It's a film that has the power to change the world.
Okay, so we talk about how Wall-E paints this picture of a future where consumerism and technology have, kind of taken over.
Yeah, but we also see this like glimmer of hope, right, with the plan and this idea of, reconnecting with nature.
Absolutely. And then there's this whole other layer we haven't really gotten into yet, which is like, artificial intelligence and what Wall-E says about its potential.
I think that's one of the most fascinating things about the film. Wall-E and Eve, they're not just robots. They're like characters with real personalities and emotions.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they blur the lines between machine and sentient being.
Yeah.
Especially Eve. I mean, she's programmed to search for life, but she also develops this like sense of curiosity and wonder.
And she clearly forms a strong bond with Wall-E. It's not just about completing her mission anymore.
Yeah, I mean, remember that scene where she's like deactivated and Wall-E is taking care of her. He's like cleaning her and showing her the stars. It's so sweet.
It's like he's expressing genuine love and concern, and it makes you wonder, can robots really feel these things?
All right. I mean, if AI can evolve to experience emotions like that, what does that mean for us?
It raises all sorts of ethical questions, like how do we treat AI if they have feelings? Do they deserve rights?
I mean, it's not something we have to worry about right now, but it's definitely something to think about for the future.
Definitely. And, the film also touches on the potential dangers of AI with the autopilot Ayuto.
Oh, yeah. Ayuto is like the epitome of AI gone wrong, right? He's so focused on following his directive that he's willing to put the humans in danger.
Exactly. He's lost sight of the bigger picture, and it's a reminder that even with advanced technology, human judgment and empathy are still crucial.
It's like we can't just blindly trust machines to make decisions for us. We have to be involved and responsible.
Absolutely. And, going back to Wall-E and E, their relationship also raises these really interesting philosophical questions about consciousness.
Like, if a robot can feel emotions, does that mean it's conscious?
It's a tough question to answer. There's no scientific consensus on what consciousness actually is.
And Wall-E doesn't give us any easy answers, but it definitely makes us think about it in new ways.
Yeah, it's like science fiction at its best, exploring these big ideas and making us question our assumptions about the world.
Totally. And I think that's why Wall-E has had such a lasting impact on our culture. It's not just a fun movie. It's a film that makes you think, feel, and really engage with these important issues.
I couldn't agree more. It's a reminder that even in a world dominated by technology and consumerism, there's still hope for humanity.
Yeah, we just have to remember what's truly important. Connection, compassion, and taking care of our planet.
And never underestimate the power of a little robot with a big heart.
Absolutely.
It's one of those movies you can watch over and over again and still find something new to appreciate.
Totally. Next time, keep exploring those big questions and remember to always look for the hope and beauty even in the most unexpected places.